Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge in the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the 2022 Travelers Championship. This is my Before the Lock show, where I cover all the information you need to know before locking in those final lineups and maybe some final bet thoughts. Of course, I'm going to go over ownership projections. We're going to talk weather, any updated information, a little bit on the presser side. I'm going to give you my top 5 cheapie plays, and I think that's it. I'll also go over one and done with you guys again. Thank you for stopping by. Give me about 30 minutes. We'll get through all this information, and I will get you ready to feel good about making those final lineups. Okay, with that said, let's go talk some golf. Okay, so I've got some updated information for you guys. Quite a bit has happened over the past 24 hours, and so I want to get that over to you just in case maybe you've missed it. Let's just start with Patrick Cantlay. So funny enough, on the presser side, the area that I usually go to get them, it still doesn't have them, but the PGA's got a couple snippets on the pressers. The one that I thought I'd just bring to your attention, Patrick Cantlay had a presser. I didn't get to see it all, but the key thing that I remember kind of brought to my attention was this was where Patrick Cantlay made his PGA professional debut as an amateur. He played the U.S. Open beforehand and then got to go play in the Travelers. And he actually shot a 60, I believe that was on Friday, where he had to play 36 holes to do. They had quite a bit of rain on Thursday. And that was as an amateur back in 2011. So anytime you put Patrick Cantlay on bent greens, good things can happen. We saw the torrid run back in the FedEx Cup, what he did, gaining 13, 14, just breaking the stroke gain statistics during that FedEx Cup run. So I did not pick him in my top 15, but I will sprinkle him in, especially with the information over to the right there, with Justin Thomas now withdrawing. And I just saw this tweet come out, and I thought, I never was worried about JT, withdrawing and going over to the Live Tour. But I think it's good that he put this out, and it, purely just stating, hey, I tweaked my back earlier this week, and he just wants to put some rest on it. If that's true or not, he might have just needed a break. Right, they've got a lot of golf. They're going to be making a travel across the pond, probably play in the Scottish or the Irish and get ready for the Open. And so, like I said, we've got a really strong field still. It's weakened a little bit, but still a really strong field for this kind of event. And I think the John Deere it's going to be, I'm kind of a little bit excited for the John Deere because I think it's going to be where a high odds player can definitely win that event. I think the field is going to weaken to such a point that we might be able to finally hit someone 100 or 100 to 1 or over. So I always look forward to that. That is kind of why I'm in this game from the betting side. All right. Now let's also take a few other things that I found. You guys might remember Patrick Flavin the Flava. He actually Monday qualified again for the Travelers, shooting 6 under. I don't know what. I don't think it was at TPC River Highlands. Typically, Monday qualifiers are off-site at some other location. So don't take that. Oh, he just shot a 66 at TPC River Highlands. But I just wanted to. He's definitely playing some good golf. He kind of came on the scene, if you remember, on the vacation swing. So that's like the Bermuda, the Puerto Rico, the Corrales, all of that, where he made cuts. I think his best finish was at Bermuda. And then he's missed the last 3 tournaments he's played in. He's missed a cut. So, I'm not saying he is a for sure play by any stretch. I think he's probably min price. But if you're down there and, just want to take a stab at, especially in the large GPP, DFS, he might not be a bad plug and play. And hopefully get you to the weekend is what you would expect out of that. And then I just wanted from a weather forecast, I'm going to go into the weather forecast during the tournament, as I always do, and tell you guys where to get that information. But I did pull this from the PGA Tour. Just, from my brain, it's telling me it's, they could have some rain that looks like this evening. Well, it looks like possible chance of showers all day. Which, how I see that for me is Thursday, the weather looks good. And so the guys going out in the morning are going to have maybe a soft course and hopefully the best conditions to go score. There is no right now advantages from a flight, AM, PM that I see, and we'll go over that. But from the side of, hey, the course might get softened up today, it always kind of favors, I think, the guys in the morning with the perfect greens, softer greens, and hopefully least amount of wind that will be around for that day. All right, let's move on. And real quickly, I'll just go over again. If you missed the previous shows, because I am going to be going into some analysis on the cheapie side, where my focus is going to be is, yes, just hitting fairways, hitting your approach shots, hopefully close as possible. But you'll see, as I showed in my preview show, that it's been kind of a quinky where, sometimes it's been, the last year it was all about gaining off the tee and gaining with the putter, and it wasn't so much approach. And then, the previous years, a little more approach showed up. But long story short, I think it's the short game around the green putting that is going to ultimately, those guys that do that very well are going to end up winning this thing. Then you see the other areas, proxy to the pin, ton of par fours between 400 and 450. This was all the information I put in my larger model that kind of siphoned down and got me to my top 15 picks. Also, I'm using it when I'm looking at these guys below 7K. And then lastly, real quick, the comp courses where, as I've always stated, I use this if I've kind of in between guys, or we really just, for the guys below 7,000, this will kind of sway me where I'm leaning. And so when I go and do the analysis from the stroking and the modeling, I actually will go against these comp courses. I don't do it as much for the guys for the top 15, but it does probably sway me more for the guys lower, because those guys typically, are not as good, but sometimes they're horses for courses. They tend to play at certain courses very well, and that's the kind of advantages that we have to look for. So those are the comp courses. And these are the guys that came out top against those courses if you're interested. Okay, let's go jump over to Fantasy National. Let's do some quick analysis on the guys below 7K. I've got some identified that I want to talk about. And then we'll do ownership projections, we'll do weather, and then I'll wrap this all up and get you guys out of here. So I've hopped over into fantasynational.com, and as always, I will give the plug that if you are betting on golf, if you are doing fantasy golf, and you are getting into your own research, I highly recommend it. It is all focused on the golf side. So with that said, I, as always, will be using Draftkings pricing, but again, don't get too miffed that you can use this for FanDuel or for Yahoo, as in the picks I'm giving you. I'm sure the pricing is just going to be a little different. And is what I was doing for the top 15. I am looking at the last 24 rounds of golf that these guys have played, or 6 tournaments, and I've got no filters turned on. I will tell you up front that these guys I did siphon through and already use those comp courses that I just mentioned to really make these picks. They also look good against the last 6 courses, but they also looked really good against those comparables. Hence why they're here. I've actually identified 15 players that are going to talk about real quickly. And I've got 5 that we're going to probably do a little deeper dive, and also who are actually going to make my top 5 cheapies. All right, with that said, as always, you're looking at kind of this dashboard, and what you're seeing here is a mini model. And the emphasis is going to be on good drives, approach, the short game, putting. And then 25% of the approach shots are coming in from that 150 to 175. So we want to see who do that well. Birdies are the last 24 rounds. You would like to see this more like, funny enough, a lot of these guys, I guess like Chad Ramey here, we want to see a lot of green, but down here, there's a reason why they're down here. They don't, typically make a ton of birdies, or they would be up top. And recent results, you're going to see their past 5 tournaments listed here and how they've done. And then, of course, tournament history here at TPC River Highlands for the Travelers. Okay, with all that said, the first guy, and these guys are all the guys 7K and below. Sometimes I'll go 7,100, but I felt like there was enough at 7K and below that we could work with. And again, if you are going to start building your lineups with a couple 10K guys or more 9K guys, and you do fall down into this range, and I think for the large GPP, I think it's these guys below 7K, you hit the right guy, that's the guy in your lineup that's going to actually get you to win the 200K or the 250K, whatever it is. It's finding that guy that just somehow top 5s that cost $6,000 and then allowed you to build that, crazy lineup. Okay. Well, all that said, you're also going to see their model rank here. You're going to see their salary, projected ownership, cuts made. You're getting all that information, and that's why I like to show it to you guys in this, and then I can click on them. We can do a little deeper dive. You're going to see Adam Long, funny enough, out of, 156 players, ranks number 11th on everything that I'm looking for, as in, he's hitting fairways and hitting the green, 23rd on approach. His short game's pretty solid, putting, and he's 18th from, that 150 out. So all that is really good. The birdies gained, you can see nothing against this field, nothing to write home about. But tournament history, pretty solid, right? I mean, a T21, a T24. He missed a cut last year. And then he's had pretty decent kind of hit or miss. Now, if you're kind of going with his flow, and I have seen this, technically he's due to miss a cut, right? So the T15 at the Mexico Open, missed cut at Wells Fargo. T35 at Charles Schwab, miscut the Memorial, T21 at the RBC. Hopefully that does not stay in that pattern. Hopefully Mr. Adam Long gets us a top 10 and we are going to play him. And typically I've told you guys, if you know been watching me for a while, I really like Adam Long, what I call again the vacation swing. Whenever they get to Corrales, Bermuda, whatever it is for that guy, typically that's where he excels. You can see pretty decent with the putter on all different splits. Bermuda is his best and hints what I just mentioned. You can also see the pass column. Difficult courses, you know, I mean, nothing really. I don't think there's anything here that really blows me away. But this is what I like. You know, he doesn't hit it far. 290 again against the guys on tour. But he's very accurate, typically off tee. Good ball striker. And it's, if the putter pops or not. But typically, like I said, he's a pretty solid putter. And then I'll just click on this to see. So, of course, his wins at the Amex, which I think is not a terrible comparable. There you go. 3M, TPC, Twin Cities. There's that OHL, Mayakoba, which I didn't mention that one. Corrales. Like I said, you can just kind of see where he pops up there. And then on some Bermuda tracks. But he does have a good showing at RBC. Also, I like this Greenbrier. This was the old TPC White. I mentioned yesterday that Joaquin Niemann, of course, got his first win there, and I said old TPC White, which, if you don't know what the heck that means, that's the course, the actual military, or tribute to the military. Greenbrier was the name of the tournament, but I think that ended, 2019, I think was the last year. For whatever reason, it got moved off, I think, after the COVID thing. You can see it, Charles Schwab and Colonial, a couple times he pops up. So everything from a comp course to his style of game just screams out to me that Adam Long could do very well here. So he will be making my top 5. Party Marty Laird, I like this guy. I like his game. I think his last win was at Shriners, if I remember correctly, which was like a scoring fest, which I don't know. Marty Laird just doesn't come up, and I did not hit him on that. His odds had to be awesome, so it's one that probably stings a little bit. But you can see he's got a really good tournament history here. Has made the cut 4 out of the 5 past years. Hasn't played it in a couple years. Missed a cut in 2017, but had us a T15. Let's go clear. I want to see what else, because we only get 5 years showing there. If I go plug in Travelers, sometimes I learn things that I don't know. Nope, that's all I had. Okay. Well, while we're here, let's go do one more thing. Let's go see where he's had his best finishes. Of course, I mentioned Shriners win 2020, one in Valero. Now let's see if we can find some newer stuff. The Puerto Rico, the Shriners again. So he likes playing, what is that, TPC Scottsdale? Am I right with that, or is that Waste Management? I don't know why. I'm totally blanking. TPC Summerlin, TPC Summy, yes. Sorry about that. I knew it was in Vegas. We were just having a brain fart on where the heck that course was that they played. It's been a while, it feels like, since we've seen Shriners. All right, scrolling through, I don't see anything that's like just screaming out, but he's not making my top 5, but he's getting a notable, hey, if you're down here, I don't think it's a terrible play. Bo Hosler got in the field. I'm trying to figure out who withdrew. I don't know if it was JT. Might have been Justin Thomas that got him in, or Brooks Koepka. I forgot now. And on that note, actually, it was Justin Thomas. When he pulled out, you got Satoshi Gadair, who made the field. And I think I mentioned last year, I believe, Satoshi Gadair came out and tied for a round 1 leader, which I hit, 63, shot a 63. I always like Satoshi. Munoz is not in the field, so you can always throw Satoshi Gadair in there for high odds and see what happens for a first-round leader. But again, Bo Hosler had T10 here last year, tied for second, T2, 2018. Missed a cut in 2020, but again, pretty nice little tournament history. He's made the last, 5 cuts in a row. He had a T21 at the Charles Schwab, which is a good comp. And didn't he show up? Sometimes in my brain, I get him and Hoagie combined, but I believe Pebble Beach, this year was where he had that chance to win, which Hoagie did end up winning. But those 2 Yahoos were in the mix at the end, which I don't think I was on either of them, if I remember correctly. Maybe Hoagie, definitely not Hosler. Still doesn't have a win on tour, and his best showing here was at the Travelers. So, a lot of good things kind of point, recent form, past history. So I like Bo Hosler. And you can see, if I had to lean between, hey, fairways and approach over the short game and putting right now, I'm going to kind of lean more that side. I think these guys can club down, of course, on 6,800. There's only I think 3 courses these guys the PGA Tour plays that is less than 7,000. Pebble Beach is one. Of course, this is the other, and I'm blanking on the third right now. It's Port Royale, I think, where they play the Bermuda, if I remember correctly. So there you go. All right, moving along. Jaha been playing pretty good golf. Showed up at the Colonial, the RBC, so both good comparable courses, and has made a cut here at least once back in 2018. You can see he's doing everything well. It's the putter typically is what can get Mr. Jaha a little bit of issues. So, anyways, I like him. Lucas Glover, I hit him at the John Deere. I believe, what did he have? He had a 20th here, which got me kind of excited for what he could do at the John Deere last year. He is a ball striker, and you can see he's made 4 out of 5. It's the putter is just brutal. And if that putter clicks, like a lot of these guys that are typically very good ball strikers, they can win our top 5. So I think Lucas Glover is not a terrible play. I almost kind of like playing him in Showdown more than I will put him in, a lot of lineups on the DFS side, unless I just see that I, finally start to see his putter coming around. And we can go take a look at him because I peeked at him briefly. So you can see very accurate. Hits at about 300. You can see the putter is the issue, and it shows up here around the green. Putter, though, bigger issue. Last 5 tournaments, on average, he's losing 2.5 strokes to the field. I mean, there's times where I've seen that guy just stick at 5 feet, 10 feet, 5 feet, 10 feet, and just keeps missing the birdie putts over and over and over. And you can see he lost 6 strokes at Colonial, or would have been top 10 minimum. You have those kind of stats off the tee and irons. You have that kind of irons, and you're missing. That just shows he's hitting it close a lot, and he's missing. So when you have this high approach number, it means you're sticking within 15 feet, 10 feet over and over, and you just keep missing. It was the same with John Rahm early in the season, where his approach was high, but his, around the green and putting numbers were down. It's because of how many 10-footers he was missing. So it's been a while. You can see with the putter with Mr. Glover, it's been a while, but typically, as I said, off the tee and the irons can definitely do pretty well. There's that John Deere I told you about. He's also got a major win. I believe he won the PGA. It's not showing up here. It was a long time ago, but it is a fact. He is a major champion. It was just a long time ago. All right, moving along. Adam Svensson. You guys know this is my flavor. I play him all the time. I think just from a putting standpoint, the short game is why I'm going to not put him in my top 5 cheapies. But I do like him from Showdown. He can get very high. You can see he's made his last 4 cuts, best showing, and kind of trending in the right way with that T21. But of course, he is Canadian. That kind of worked out pretty well for me playing a lot of the Canadians and the Canadian Open. I kind of mentioned that in the Latam different events. They always happen. It was amazing to watch, the Carlos Ortizes and the Abraham Answers, and, that would show up there. But anyways, I like Svensson. He's not making, and same with Smotherman. Also, probably a little bit, maybe it's because I picked these guys in my cheapie plays for over and over and over. And, like I said, I'm going to state from a modeling perspective, from what the data says, I just don't like what's going on with the short game. So where I'm getting with this, if this was a longer track, a ball striking track, that's when these guys would be put in play, because I do feel like this is more about a short game and putting track, kind of changing up a little bit of where I'll go in the bottom. Zach Johnson's had, this is a perfect Zach Johnson course. I actually looked, and as far as I see, he's actually number 1 here. I mentioned it just seems like he would have had to won the Travelers at some point. Best showing that I see here is at least a T11. But again, he fits the model. He just, I don't know. When I kind of went through and looked at a lot of his past 4 or 5 tournaments, what's been going on, like I said, off the tee, that doesn't bother me a whole lot, because you'll see here, he's very accurate, but not very long. And that counts on off the tee, right? It's distance with hitting fairways. So he's still hitting fairways. He's just not hitting it very far. But the irons, only one real good showing back at the Valero, hence that T13 or the 13th. But then those missed cuts. And the putter hasn't been doing a whole lot. This is more what I typically would think I'd see out of Zach was, gaining a couple strokes, 3 strokes against the field. He needs to do that with the putter. Let's just click on here. Of course, he won the Open a long time ago. He has one at the John Deere. You see the Charles Schwab. So here's kind of what I mentioned. He loves the John Deere. So get ready to play some Zach Johnson next week. The RBC, the John Deere, the Amex, the Schwab. I mean, like I said, I like the Kevin Nas and oh geez, Brian Harmons and the Ches Reeves, and I shouldn't really put Brian Harmon in that class. I think he's a little better player, has a little more pop. But there's certain courses that Kevin Nas, as I mentioned, that where they could win, and this I feel like is one that Zach Johnson can definitely compete in. But maybe we'll save him for the John Deere. All right, Chad Ramey. I showed you, he has been making birdies, probably also making a lot of bogeys, and he's a winner, right? He won at, oh geez, like I said, I get all the Florida swing or the Florida vacation ones. Corrales, where he won back in March, and I believe we don't see it here, but that guy went in fuego with the putter. Hence, typically that's what I know he can do. Yes, he can do these other things we see, and he's been kind of hit or miss, right? I mean, good showing at Wells Fargo, at that TPC Potomac, and good showing at Colonial. He withdrew for the Memorial. I don't remember what. If I had to guess, probably just was shooting so bad that he just said, it was at Jack's place. I don't know what happened, So hopefully, if it's an injury, he's fine. I don't have anything on that. But I do like Chad Ramey here. He's going to make my top 5. And then JT Poston, who I don't pick a lot, but you can see his tournament history is not good. But he showed up at Wells Fargo, not a bad show at the Memorial. But he's just really good with the short game and putting. It's a little more of the off the tee, but I just feel like this is a good fit for him. So that's who I'm going to lean with. And then these guys like a Bryce Garnett, again, fits. This is a perfect fit kind of course for him. You can see last year he had a T5, but he also has some miscuts and then a T20. Like I said, it should fit him. TPC Craig Ranch, he had a good showing. The Mexico Open, he had a T33. You can see statistically what I'm looking at, it looks pretty solid. We were on the Nate Lashley train there for a little while, and we've kind of jumped off it. He showed up at TPC Craig Ranch, but he had these miscuts. But I think could be a sneaky play. It's a putter with him, but I'll give him a notable mention. I wouldn't have it terrible. Hammer and Hank. So he's the one I kind of talked about, a bet on. He had a good showing here last year at T5. He just made the cut every time here. Pretty decent form. And right, he had, like I said, last summer, this is where he kind of kicked off his run of better than top 10s, like 3 tournaments in a row. We'll go look at that so you can see it. But I mentioned my whole narrative. And I don't think I heard this from any other guys, at least that I heard of. Like I said, I like to listen to some of the other guys who were there coming off. But no one's jumped on my lefty narrative. And so I'm kind of excited to see if that plays out. Of course, that's the Garrick Higo, Hank Laboda, Brian Harmon. I mentioned, of course, in the preview show that you had Bubba Watson win here 3 times. You had Phil Mickelson win 2 times. Again, Bubba Watson was more recent. Phil Mickelson, I believe, was 01, 02 back-to-back. But what I was stating was, here was that run here in the summer where, he kicked it off with the Travelers, then the John Deere. He had a good showing at the Valspar, even before that, the Rocket Mortgage. And then if I remember correct, either he withdrew from a tournament, and I don't remember if it was an injury. I thought what I remember was something to do with a family thing he had to go to attend to. That's what it sticks out in my brain. But we never got clarification on it, and then he came back and was just bad. So you'd almost tend to be like, hey, it had to be an injury. So I really like Hammer and Hank. I'm going to put him in. And then the last 2 guys, if you are down this low, below 6,500, I don't feel like you have to go there. But if for some odd reason you're building some crazy heavy top end builds, Peter Malnati is just very good with the putter and the short game. And you'll see he'll pop up out of nowhere and, get you that, like a T9 out of nowhere. He's had a good history here. Made 4 out of the last 5 cuts. The T26 is his best, so I like that. Then Kelly Craft. Never, ever have I mentioned or picked Kelly Craft, but the guy has, recently been playing some good golf. And again, he showed up at the RBC Canadian, the Mexico Open, the Wells Fargo. You can see from the modeling, he's done, good off the tee, good around the green, good putting. Yeah, I mean, the guy's been playing pretty decent golf. And for that price tag, he's also, had a second at the Greenbrier. some short tracks, smaller greens, the Greenbrier, John Deere. If he's going to do something, the RSM, this could be a course to play some Kelly Craft if you want to get a little nutty down here low. All right, that's enough for my cheapies. I'll, of course, summarize this when we jump out of here. Let's go talk ownership projections. Okay, so these ownership projections are also brought to you by Fantasy National Golf. And I want to kind of focus on this number. This tells me that we've got 6,500 lineups that actually have been generated. All this other stuff doesn't mean anything. Anybody can click this little star and say, hey, I like this guy. But this means guys actually are using those guys to build their DFS lineups. That's the number here, and that's what we're going to use. So amazing enough, Patrick Cantlay is up there to 18+%. I don't feel like the ownership and the talk was all about him early on, but I think maybe a little bit with the JT withdrawal has probably also gotten this up a bit. His price tag, is a little lower, and I get it. I mean, he's had success here. He's had, if you look, I'm going to talk about it from a one and done perspective, but I mean, his course history here has been pretty solid. So I can understand it. Davis Riley's got all the buzz. I'm right there with him. It's funny, Patrick Cantlay was on my kind of cover for this, and then Davis Riley was on the cover for yesterday. So I guess a lot of people are jumping on the same train that I'm seeing. Mito, just solid play. Of course, Scotty Scheffler, you can't go wrong. Brendan Todd right now is showing at 16.5. I'm going to be really curious if that is how it all ends up. The one that's got me interested is all the hype on Brendan Steele. And, I this is why I'm not that excited about Brendan Steele, because what I think you need to do at this course is not so much be, hit it long off the tee and be a good ball striker, which he's been, tee to green, been great. I still think the putter and around the green is going to be huge factors. And you can see here, that's typically where he struggles, but he has been playing great, from a, ball striking aspect. So we can also see he had quite a stink fest here early on in the year. So we're going to have to see how all that shakes out. But I'm going to be actually fading Brendan Steele because of that kind of ownership. And I don't feel like I need guys to hit it 320, 330. And you don't have to be awesome with the irons. You got to be decent. I think it's, like I said, the short game and the putting is what's going to carry the day. That's where I'm leaning. Jordan Spieth, no issues there. Seamus Power, I told you he was one of the first guys I thought of who could do well here, especially with the guy right below him, Brian Harman, who I bet 50-1. I never got the bet in on Seamus Power, and it's crap odds now. I think he's in like the high 20s, low 30s. So, I missed that 50 or 60, and I'm not too worried about it. Sunjay, everybody's, hoping that he makes a big comeback. Joaquin Niemann, I mentioned, I will be sprinkle playing him. Rory, down to 12%, at least again what this is saying. You got Keegan at 11, Tony Finau at 10, Adam Long that I was just mentioning, funny enough, at 10%. I think Cameron Davis is an interesting play. I mentioned him. Of course, his win at the Detroit Country Club for the Rocket Mortgage, some similarities there. The Bent Greens. I see some crossover. Troy Merritt, of course, was in that playoff. And funny enough, if you look at what Cam Davis has done, and I showed us, I believe yesterday, he's had a good showing at RBC. Shorter tracks, he's actually played well. Where typically, I think the industry and an analyst, we liked him more for his ball striking. We like him on bigger boy courses. But funny enough, at least right now, his results have been showing up on shorter tracks. Okay, HV3. I'm just worried about the short game, so I'm out on him. I like Seabez. You got Joel Damon, a lot of hype on him. Still, I think he's 100-1 if you want to bet him. There's my Svensson, CT Pan, Denny McCarthy. Really like Denny. I think I got a bet in on him at like 70-1, 80-1. I think he's down to like 60 now. All right, let me scroll through. Streelman, funny enough, and I, just like Steele and Streelman, they think they're very similar looking. He actually has the better course history here by far. And so I'm kind of shocked that not more people, but his recent form has not been nowhere near what Steele's been, so I get that. Leishman Pass winner. I'm going to kind of fly through. I told Jason Day, good course history here. Actually picked him, which that makes me really nervous. There's Bo Hosler, Lanto Griffin. Also, I mentioned I probably will be switching a bit of that out for Cameron Tringali for a couple $100 more. I would favor Tringali over Griffin. There's Smotherman. There's my Glover and Griot. Very similar players. Great ball strikers, horrific short game and putting at times. There's Hammer and Hank at less than 5%. We'll see if that holds up. Nick Harding, been showing up and playing good golf. Kisner, man, he's just been, that would be the total where Kisner would come out and win this tournament, just like I mentioned with Na and a lot of the short tactical guys. This is a course that Kisner can do well on, but his recent form has been so bad. But like I said, that could just change on a dime. There's my Tringali. That's interesting that he's that low a price. And I mean, my viewpoint, I remember I had this conversation about Munoz. This same thing happened where Sebastian Munoz was priced, there was guys above him that were nowhere near as good as a golfer as him. And I kind of see the same thing going on here with Tringali, that $7,400. I get, but in less than 4%. So I guess I'm hyping up Tringali, guys. We'll see how that plays out. I think I'm going to be playing quite a bit of Tringali. Maybe he gets his first career run. Let's go click on Tringali real quick. So you can see, pretty accurate. Hits at 300s, got a little pop in the bat. The problem, only thing I've ever had with Tringali is he just falls apart on Sundays. Let me see around the green. We can do this and see what's been going on. So yeah, I mean, not terrible. Yeah, and he had a good showing at the U.S. Open. Had a good showing at RBC. Good showing at the Genesis, the Farmers. I mean, tougher tracks. I think I did this yesterday when I clicked and just saw where Shriners a putting contest. It's a long time ago. RSM, not a terrible comp. There's Greenbrier. That's a long time ago. There's the Rocket. Week field typically for the Rocket Mortgage. That's got to be coming up here. I think it's in August. The Byron Nelson. No. Let me go click on the Travelers. Maybe this is it. He had a 15th here way back. Okay. So there you go. He's got a couple miscuts in it. Yeah. So his recent form at this course has not been good. So that's it. That's why people are off him. So, yeah. Okay. We'll see. All right. There's JT Poston. I mentioned I'm going to play. Ramey less than 2%. So if you need some differentiation. And I think that's it. I'll scroll down here to see if anybody pops up that could be interesting. There's the McGirt. I've been hearing a lot about the Kiradech Abbey Barnrat for a little while. He was a lot of people are talking. I think he had a win at the Corn Ferry. There's Molinex, Martin Trainer popped up. Bill Haas seems like he get you through. Cole Hammer. I don't know if he qualified, or I think he might be a sponsor exemption. All right, I think that's enough. You got a good idea where the ownership projection is right now. Let's real quick talk about weather and then wrap this thing up. All right, so I talked about, looks like they're going to get possibly some rain. So it's funny when I look at the wind finder. Oh, I should show you that. All right, as always, go to wind finder, use wind finder, especially if you are going to be playing Showdown. This isn't right next to the course. There's two locations that are kind of like the nearest. So I just took Hartford Brainerd. I think I took this last year. It's close enough, but we're gonna scroll to Thursday. And right now, like I said, I don't see anything in the forecast that makes me nervous at all. Same with Friday. Looks like they're gonna have good golf and it should be a soft course at least for Thursday. If I go and look at the whole 4 days, so you get kind of a different view again. No shocker. Take the guys in the morning if you're playing Showdown. That's what everybody does. It's kind of like burnt out now. Friday, Saturday looks good. Sunday, yeah. So no issues on the weather, but keep an eye on it. It is weather, and the only recommendation I'd give you is, of course, should be if they do get the rain today, should be nice and scoreable for tomorrow. All right, let's go wrap this up. Okay, so to summarize my top 5 cheapie plays, JT Poston, a little bit different for me, but has a good short game, can get hot with the putter. See if that works out. I got Chad Ramey. Of course, he won, as we mentioned, Corrales. Seems like his skill set should do well here. So again, just kind of mixing it up a little bit on my cheapies. Hammer and Hank going with that whole, left-handed approach to this course. We'll see how that works. He also had a T5 here. and been playing a little better golf, so hopefully he hits form. Bullhauser, again, good form here. Been playing good golf. No reason for that. And then Adam Long, and this isn't in any order. All these are the guys below 7,000. I think the cheapest is Hammer and Hank. And I think Adam Long's at 7K. So, again, Adam Long playing great golf and has done pretty well. I think missed cut the last year we looked at, but previous couple years did pretty well. So that's the guys that I'll be playing, and then I mentioned some of the other guys down there that I'll sprinkle in, but these are the top 5 that I'm going to focus on. All right, real quick for one and done purposes, I showed this yesterday, and I believe maybe even on Monday. But if you want to know who's done well at this course over the last 5 years from a total stroke gain, there's Brian Harmon. I mentioned Streelman. Of course, you got Cantlay, Reeve, past champion. Jason Day's done well. Then there's Steele, which again, he missed the cut last year, but everybody, I don't get the Brendan Steele thing. Maybe it'll come back to haunt me, but that one's got me a little confused. And then from a one and done perspective, I showed these guys. I added Patrick Cantlay. Again, what I mentioned here for one and done, if you are playing in a one and done tournament, I'm not wasting. I've only got a couple big bullets left, and I'm definitely not wasting it here. I'm saving it for the FedEx or the Open. So these are the guys that I've identified that I'm going to play, who I have to use. I've been kind of back and forth. I mean, if you have Patrick Cantlay, I think it's a great time to use him. Great form here. Again, we mentioned what he did as an amateur even here. But again, I'm looking for short game, accurate, hit fairways, just kind of plotters. Now, I also went a little bit on this tack for the RBC Heritage, but as I mentioned, because of the hurricanes or whatever they had there, that course kind of opened up more. And the ball strikers, the bombers, man, went out and took it, right? It was the Cameron Youngs, we had Cam Davis, and then you had Spieth, funny enough, who I just, whatever. I say that because, like I said, I just felt like Lowry. There were so many guys that should have won that tournament, and was just shocked how Spieth got in, posted a number, and won. It was just crazy. So, anyways, these are the guys I'm looking for one and done. And hey, let me know. I never asked you guys if you would. Let me know who's playing one and done in this, and who you guys are going with. I'd actually wouldn't mind to see that. I should probably ask that more often. All right, guys, that's it. That's the show. That's my wrap up for the Travelers. Best of luck. And we'll see how this all plays out. Like I said, the narratives and the things that I'm leaning towards is the lefties. I'm going with the more strategic players, really good around the green, good short game, good putting over the better ball strikers. That's where I'm leaning. So we'll see. Maybe again, like RBC Heritage, where actually the better ball strikers ended up coming out on top, at least in the top 10 plays. Please do me the honor, as always, click that like button, share it with anybody else that you think would give a crap. And if you've not subscribed, please become a subscriber. It keeps me doing what I'm doing. And as always, follow me on Twitter to get all the latest updates that I see. I will tweet them out. And the best of luck to us. All right, guys, take care. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you later.